Okay, we are live. Everyone, my name is Bezad.
My name is Risa.
And we are the founders of Wonder Looper, and we are bringing to you today the world's foremost greatest live stream, the Wonder Looper live stream, broadcasting live from Yokohama, Japan. It is Monday, January 19th for us, and Sunday, January 18th for many of you out there in the West. Welcome. It's 9 a.m. here, early-ish morning. Anyhow, we just got off the train, a little busy packed train this morning, but we're pumped up and ready to go. We got our coffees ready. I got my Dunkin' Donuts vintage mug here, filled with coffee. Risa's got the technologically superior mug, the Ember mug.
Ember.
Keeps things hot.
Yes. This, I do have to say, is one of the best gifts I've ever received. Because it's so useful.
It's very useful.
It's useful and just like,
Does the job.
I wouldn't have bought it myself.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it
It
existed.
seems like a frivolous purchase, but it ends up
For
being,
yourself, yeah. I think, maybe.
But anyways, I hope everyone out there is keeping warm. I see Philly Xander says, snowstorm in Philly, great timing at 7 p.m. here. And then we've got, I don't know how to say that. But it's a hello from a cold Milwaukee. There you go. It's cold out there for everybody. It seems. I know that there's been a winter storm in the northeast, at the very least, in Toronto, Ontario, Quebec. They've seen a lot of snow right now. Out here in Japan, not so bad. It's not so bad at
For
all.
the past few days, it's been kind of nice.
Yeah.
It went up to like 15, 16 degrees Celsius. So
Not gonna complain with that in January.
I think it's going to get worse a little bit before it gets better.
Before it gets better. But let's check in with the chat, everybody. Let's see where everyone is tuning in from. We've got Mr. BD, the producer, is in the house. Good day, everyone. Hope you're all warm in some Wonder Looper. Well, thank you and good to see you. We've got Stephen Kopelkamp. Greetings from a cold AF, Wisconsin. And I don't know if it's called warp and weft for knit fabrics, but an iron fox weft and an iron fox warp and fox weft sweatpant would be cool. Dark on the outside, light on the inside. That would be pretty cool. Good thought. Good thought experiment. I like that. Mr. Shank Styles checking in from Sydney, Australia. Good. Very cool that Bezat and Risa still follow Reddit discussions. Bezat, do you still comment as much on Reddit like you did during your Naked and Famous days? To that I say no. Back in the Naked and Famous days, I used to run the Naked and Famous Denim Reddit account. So I was in the raw denim subreddit quite a lot. I used to post a lot, answer a lot of questions. It's sort of the reason why I also don't answer all the DMs. I try to answer some of the DMs, but I don't answer all the DMs. Is that what ends up happening is that like Reddit or the DMs become customer service. Yeah. And it's just hard to manage.
Keep track of and
So it's like all the questions start coming through in all these different places, and I just if you send me the email or if you leave it in the comment section of our YouTube, it's a lot easier for me to get to because there's a way for me to sort of track it. DMs get buried. You can't search them so easily. I would also say comments are not so easy to search either, but it just becomes a lot of customer service.
Right. I think we could actually, kind of set up a message
auto
thing,
response.
like if you have a question, if you want to reach out to us, email us. I think that's the best way.
That's probably the best way. So as much as I do look, and I try to stay in tune with what's going on in the world of the forum world out there. I just don't post as much there as I once did. And that's basically I would also is basically the customer service aspect of it. The other thing I would say is that if you do, some of you might do it. Anyhow, just if you send us a customer service email on a Saturday morning, don't send me 7 emails after that between Saturday morning and Monday morning, and then send me 3 DMs in the Instagram asking me if I got your email. I got your email. I'm just not a robot.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's all.
But yeah, I'm not like constantly on Reddit. I was never that person, but you know, like anybody else, when I have a question, I'll go to Reddit sometimes. And because I look at certain things, like Reddit already knows who I am. And I think that Wonder Looper like
Content.
post that I randomly come across was like kind of pulled up, like, you know, when I like had a question and I got my question answered, or like I found an answer on a question, and it's like scrolling. And so I don't know if everybody watched the video that we dropped on Friday, but it was just like, you know, it's nice to see actual like people in the wild like collection, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, obviously like we have a relatively large collection of Wonder Looper, but we also kind of like, you know, there's always kind of a thing where like I kind of try to like hold myself back a little bit so that we're not piling up like every season, like, you know, so much, because I know that there's, you know, more things coming,
Right.
and I need to be wearing like one of the newer fabrics or whatever, just to kind of test it out and everything. So
Yeah.
but
It's hard to, I would say it's hard to hold back here, because I do want to wear a lot of everything and every color, but I can't.
But I also spend like a lot of time, because, you know, we've known this like Super Looper colors for, you know, a long time now,
Right.
6 months now. And I just like spend my time sometimes thinking about like, which color do I get this season? And which color can I get next season, because we know it's going to repeat.
Right. That's true. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, that whole thread, basically the thread was about, so a customer of ours posted their collection, and then there were a lot of comments about, you know, just how do you like the products? What do you know, which products you like the most? This and that, you know, normal discussion type. Then there was just some vitriol about wire hanger use, which I'm glad that we could show people that they're not that bad. Like, you know, in the video we posted Friday, if you haven't seen it yet, we go over that topic. We show you that it doesn't destroy your clothes like, you know, some people might feel it does. Are there better ways to hang your clothes? Yeah, but the way that you think is so terrible, it just isn't as bad as you think it is. So
it's kind of like, you know, washing your raw denim the first week in or something like that. It's just like, there's just, you know, if you come across a post like that, like randomly, and, you know, you're not like so into the world of, you know,
right.
clothing or whatever, then like you feel like, oh, I should never, like, you know,
Right.
have wire hangers or hang anything in wire hangers.
I should never wash my jeans, because the internet said I should never wash my jeans.
Right,
But
it's just
you
like
know,
it kind of as
yeah.
an extreme opinion that everybody seems to have. And to be fair, there is a reason why everybody has that opinion. I get that.
Yeah.
It's not like illogical to think that. But at the same time, you know, I think people tend to take it like, oh my, you know, maybe like jokingly, probably.
Maybe,
but like,
yeah, but
like, oh my God, you shouldn't put that on.
right.
You know.
But you know, the thing is that like nuance sometimes doesn't come through in a
Right.
Reddit, like, never use a wire hanger, and it's like, wait, do you mean that like all caps, like angrily, like this should never happen, or are you joking?
Yeah,
You know, is it somewhere in between? It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
And if you're new to the world and you're reading these comments, like you don't know how to take that, right? So anyway, we wanted to show that off a little bit. But Rugged Tutorial here asks the good question, because this was another part of that conversation, talking about collecting. What limit do you guys feel is having too much of one thing? Jacket, shoes, bags, etc. Because a lot of people in that thread were also like, oh, you have too much. My opinion as a collector of many things is just don't go broke over it. Don't, you know, if it's a problem, that's when it's a problem. If you can afford it, it's not hurting you, you can pay your rent, you can pay your bills, you know what I mean? You enjoy the thing that you have, then it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's clothes or mechanical keyboards. You know, I like keyboard. I have a lot of keyboards. Sometimes I go on a keyboard forum, and people have a lot of keyboards, and they're not using all their keyboards. Of course, you can only use one keyboard at a time. How many keyboards can you possibly use? but you like keyboards. You like the way they sound. You like the way they feel. You like the process of making it and all that stuff. So it's hard for me to tell somebody who enjoys something that they're not hurting themselves, they're not hurting anybody, to say that there should be a limit on these things, you know?
I'd say like don't go broke over it financially or space wise. Like I think if your space becomes like too much of that thing that you're collecting, and it's hard to like kind of manage your living space. Like if it gets to that point, maybe you need to start kind of reducing it.
Thinning out the herd a little bit.
With shoes, for instance, it's a little bit more difficult to store shoes and just, a little bit more cumbersome, right? Compared to like Blu-rays, right? Like Blu-rays can sit on a nice shelf,
Until you have 2,000 of them or 3,000 of them, and then they take up your whole room, right?
They take up your whole shelf. Yeah. But I mean, it's just like, like I had like for a while, I was really went into plants, and I still am.
Yes.
And I still want to live in that. Like I look at like houses that just like filled with like plants, and I was just like, oh, I want that to be my house. But at the same time, in reality, like, okay, this is maybe not less of a space issue, but it is becoming a space issue because like I keep all my plants within like a kind of one corner just so that it's easier for me to like keep an eye on it, like a few corners of the house to be fair. But like, like it's just that corner has gotten way too crowded. And I'm just like, you know what? If I start putting plants somewhere else, then one, cats can attack it. Two, like I might forget to like, or like it would be cumbersome to like water them when they need to, like keep an eye on them. So I'm getting to a point where it's like I need to reduce it or like not buy any more new
Right, ones. But like culling the herd, thinning out the herd.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if culling the herd is that the right term. I heard that term once. I don't know what that means. Thinning out the herd is part of the practice, but you only are able to thin it out once you've sort of become it's not, I would say, maybe not expert is the right word in that field, but once you have a taste for what you like in that realm, right? And you don't develop that taste unless you taste all the food. You know what I mean? You have to know what you like before you can get rid of some of the things that you don't need. And like every now and then you should probably do that. Maybe there's some things sitting in your closet that you're not wearing as much. You might like it, you might enjoy it, but you might not be wearing it as much as you like. Maybe you sell it, maybe you donate it, maybe you give it to a friend, whatever it is, those, and then, you take some of the money from there, and then you might save it, put it into something that you really, really want, Like I have a lot of cameras. I have a lot of everything. I'm not like, I used to think that, oh man, like I shouldn't spend my money this way and yada yada. But like, there's a lot of things I don't do. I was like, we have a car from '98. Like, there's certain things where we like just, we don't go overboard in some places, and in other places we definitely go overboard. And I feel that it probably balances itself out in some degree. But the
car machine from '98 is not like a financial decision.
No,
like
but I mean,
trying to save.
No,
money.
My point is that like, we don't have some expensive lease on a brand new expensive car,
yes, for sure.
which we could get if we wanted to. But like,
Yeah.
We don't drive that much, so we didn't buy a brand new shiny car. Like, it's just one of those things. But I personally just, I get it. People think, oh, it's a waste, but maybe it's a waste for you. It's not a waste for somebody else. I don't know what somebody else's tastes are, and I'm not going to judge it. So long as they're not hurting themselves, putting themselves in some sort of financial risk. I say to people, especially in the raw denim days, hoodies, you have 9 hoodies. Chances are you could rotate through those hoodies pretty well, right? I have a lot of hoodies, a lot of t-shirts. You can rotate those. Jeans, raw denim jeans are a little harder to rotate because if you're wearing them, you want to fade them. If you have 7 or 8 or 10 pairs, it's hard to fade 10 pairs at the same time. So what I would say to customers often was, have 1 or 2 pairs. It's fine, right? Wear them. If you want your jeans to be faded, wear them. Wear them a lot. And then when they're done, start your next pair. But if you have this backlog of jeans in your closet, you're never going to get around to it. And if you're in your mid-20s, you know, the mid-30s are coming. And when the mid-30s come and your metabolism changes, your body changes, chances are you're not the same size you are when you're 25 as you're 35, right? You might outgrow that pile of jeans that's sitting in your closet for 7 or 8 or 10 years. So don't invest too heavily in things that, you know, you might not be able to wear for a very, very long time. Shoes, chances are your shoe size isn't going to change. Chances are your hoodie size probably isn't going to change.
I mean, if you're...
It depends. Like, your waist, I think, changes a lot more. But, like, anyhow, don't put yourself into financial ruin. Enjoy the things that you like. And by enjoying the things that you like, you'll learn a lot more about the things that you like. And that will make better purchases down the road. Are there cheat codes to this? I think online, you know, being part of these online fashion communities where you can take advice from people to say, this is the best hoodie, or this is the best t-shirt, or these are the best jeans, this is the best watch, these are the best shoes. Sure, there's a way to, like, maybe get, you know, take advantage of a group consensus on an idea. You might get that piece and you might love it. You might get it. You might not love it as much as you thought. But, you know, certainly the online communities help, you know, guide people in directions better than, you know, randomly blind buying and trying everything yourself. Mm-hmm. But I think you have to try a lot of things in order to develop taste. And if you were just purely relying on others' opinions on taste, then, you know, in some ways it helps. You know, I don't need to, like, try every coffee machine in the world. I've tried a few, and I looked online. They've recommended me one, and I bought it, and I loved it. I have 3 of them now. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it takes... You can take the advice of an online community maybe, and you're going to nail it right away. Sometimes you're not, but it does take time to develop that taste. And I'm, as a guy who collects everything and anything, it's hard for me to, like, judge anyone who does the same.
Right. But yeah, it's just, I think everybody has their own kind of limit in terms of, you know, whether that be financial or space, or just emotionally you feel like maybe you're, like, indulging too much or something like that. But I don't know. So we did, like, a little clean out.
I had to clean. We did a closet clean out yesterday.
And it just feels so good because the day before that, like, we brought home a couple pieces from our thrifting.
We bought more clothes.
Yes. Yeah. So, but we added a few pieces, so it was just like, okay, well, like, now I feel like I need to, like, you know, kind of thin out, like, a little bit, so that not only would it make room for the new stuff, but also just, you know, kind of, I don't know, make me feel better about it.
Like, we've been in the fashion apparel world for many, I'm going to say decades at this point.
Yeah. So it's inevitable.
Right. We have a lot of stuff, a lot. And, you know, like, certain, like, a lot, I'm going to say it myself, a lot of things don't fit me anymore. There's a lot of things that I just kept around because I just never felt I had to get rid of it. But, like, really, our closet is exploding. Like, the bars are gonna break off the wall. Like, there's things in boxes. It is a nightmare in there. And, like, I'm a guy who has 12 flannel shirts, like, basically all that look the same. So, you know what, if I take 3 or 4 of those out, I take a couple of things that I don't wear out, just that I'm really never ever gonna wear again. So anyhow, we got, like, 3 garbage bags worth of stuff out the door the other day. And, like, before Christmas, there was a bunch of shoes that I just was never going to wear anymore. And we got rid of all of that. So slowly we are thinning out our herd as well.
Yeah. And it's just, like, I think to me it feels better. It feels good about, you know, maybe about, like, buying new things sometimes, but also just, you know, like, it's like there are things in your closet that you haven't touched, and it's like you might like it, but you haven't worn in, like, 2 seasons. Yeah. And it's just like,
for me, it's more than 2 seasons. Some of the stuff I haven't worn in, like, 10 years, and I'm just like, okay,
it's just,
you know what? It's
realistically,
yeah. So somebody said donate. Yeah, we like, in Japan, there's a place called Book Off, which is it's like they buy all your used stuff, and it's like it's really kind of different than like a Salvation Army or something like that, like you might have in the West. But they basically buy your stuff for pennies. Like they don't give you much money for anything, and then they resell it at like a pretty reasonable price. But they also like organize it, and it's a nice place to buy secondhand things. And some of the things are like, if they have not really good things, like it'll be priced appropriately, right, but like it's where you can buy things for like 200 yen for a t-shirt, or you could also spend 8,000 yen for a t-shirt.
So they know like they know the market, and they're like, say, one like jacket is this is about going for like $50 online, like eBay or like equivalent of that. It's selling for it's like $50, right? That's a good price that people keep buying at. Then they'll give you maybe like, I don't know, $15.
Yeah, maybe, or like a lot of things, like when we brought it, like they give you a receipt with the breakdown. Some of the things we're getting like 50 yen, like literally like 35 cents. Like,
but like because they're just like, it's not high in demand, they might be able to sell it at at like, I don't know, $30, but they might not, right? Like, so I think they're like, I don't know what their like, calculation is and whatnot, but like, if you were to sell it yourself online, like you definitely get more money if you can sell it, but that means you have to sell it and you have to hold on to it till it sells. So a lot of the time, it's like, for us, it's just like, it doesn't really, like, unless it's a like high value item, like it doesn't make a difference. Like it for us, like the effort of taking photos, writing the description, and having to deal with people asking questions, it's just not worth it. And that's why a lot of people bring like dump like stuff, and then they'll give you, I would say, a fair price considering, and they will also take like anything that they might not be able to sell like in their store, but they will take it off your hand. So it's kind of like a lot of it goes to donation. If they decide they can't sell it, then they're not gonna even try it and they just donate. But like we could just like the art, like we could take it back if they're not gonna give us any money. But a lot of the times what we do is like, if it doesn't give us any money, it's fine. You keep you please figure it out, kind of thing. So it's easy for people like us.
So a lot of people rely on places like this to for their clothing donations. It's like a resale shop, and they sell it like pretty cheap, and then they also donate what they don't sell. So it's like there's a whole cycle for it. They also recycle fabric, so it's the
really
whole thing.
Like because like when I was a kid, like like my mom would like donate it to like Salvation Army and YMCA and all that kind of stuff. But like with their, like, it doesn't matter what the things are. Like they're gonna be like, thank you, and that's it, right? Like here, it's like if there's a little bit of value in it, they will give you 50 cents. They will give you $1, and that's better than nothing, right? But it's not like. It's like if we didn't have any expectations.
I have no expectation when I bring it
then
there,
it's just so much better to like kind of just bring it there and you figure it out. You're the pros, kind of thing. And we also love to shop there.
Yeah, I would say that like a lot of people, when they come to Japan, they go to certain areas of Tokyo to go to like the vintage shops. But like the book offs are really a good place to look for stuff. I would say the problem for Westerners is that sizing is very difficult, because it's obviously it's Japanese sizing, but if you're like a North American size small, you might walk into a gold mine. Like you'd be surprised like how many of like the raw denim brands that you like are there. Mind you, like the biggest size is probably like a 31 or 32. Don't expect bigger than that. But you might get jeans for like $40, like American dollars. You might get stuff for like $25. Like it's really well priced there. So you might find some good stuff there. But so there's actually one not too far from our office that sometimes people are like, where should I go? Like, I'm like, go check there. Like you might be surprised.
Some like most of Book Off sells books and CDs and DVDs and what kind of stuff. And some of them have closed. And some of them, out of the some of them that has closed, even fewer of them have the curated, like, it's easy to shop. There's a humongous amount of clothes, and and because they kind of do it for you, maybe you're not finding gold unless you're like really digging through. But the curated sections are like pretty spot on. So like the one kind of close to our home has a very good curated men's section. They're doing better on women's as well. And then the one close to our office also has a very good men's curation.
Yeah, they have a lot of like rugged wear stuff.
Right.
So like if you like that kind of stuff, like again, sizing even for me in that location is very difficult because there's just not a lot. But if you're a smaller person, you will probably have a good chance to find something good there. Okay. Philly Xander says, "What's the plane ticket cost? I'm $31.30. You'd be surprised. Plane tickets in Japan not that expensive. Not that expensive. Check it out."
So I was looking. I'm not affiliated or anything like that. But there's a airline called Zip Air it's like a LCC of Japan Airlines, JAL, and they were having a sale they only fly from Narita, which is like a further airport to Tokyo, but Narita to LA was like 29,000 yen, which is probably like $200 if that. And that's pretty good.
That's not bad. So anyway, look it up. You might be surprised. A plane ticket to Japan is not so expensive. The yen is as low as it can be right now, so your American dollar really goes far here. It really does. You'd be surprised how affordable Japan is, especially coming with American dollars or euros. I mean, you're doing all right here. Okay. Let's see. I know we missed a lot of. We missed a lot.
I want to quickly answer this question because it's like my favorite topic. MG6621 says, "What about upcycling?" And I still do. I hold on to a lot of old clothes that I know I'm not gonna wear because I want to turn that fabric into a quilt or something like that. And as much as I want to have this, and I'm not still giving up on this idea, I just don't have time, and it just piles up. There's so much like
we got a lot of fabric.
We have so much fabric, and so like a lot of the times, like, and as I realize, like, in this journey of learning how to, like upcycle things, it's like it's always best that if there's like good amount of like fabric that's like the same, like if a lot of it's panels and smaller bits, then it's harder to upcycle. If it's like the fabric's too thick, it's really harder to upcycle, especially with like my home machines. So I only hold on to like thinner fabrics that kind of goes with each other. And
sometimes my shirts, because on a men's shirt the back is just one big piece of fabric, so it's easy to cut up and turn that into certain things. So
but it also piles up, so I gotta give up on some of them.
Right. We've got Crown and 7 says, "True story, donated some old ANF Abercrombie and Fitch shirts from my youth to Goodwill, and then later came across the same ones at a vintage store. Couldn't help but chuckle that they are considered vintage." Yeah, a lot of things from our youth, if you're in my age, if you were born in the 80s and 90s, a lot of that stuff, it's like you're looking back and you're like, man, when did I become the old guy? Right? Because some of the stuff that we like, sometimes I don't even feel like it's that old. It's considered vintage. It's considered vintage, like an original Xbox, or even like Xbox 360. When did that come out? Like 2007, 2008. It's almost 20 years old. Right?
That's proper vintage.
And it's proper vintage now. And it doesn't feel... You know why? Because it still feels... Some of these things still feel somewhat like new and now and innovative, and they just don't feel as old. And like those Abercrombie and Fitch days, to be fair, I never partook in the Abercrombie and Fitch personally. But I do remember that wave. I feel like when it came to Canada, I was a little old for it. I was working at a department store, and then the first Abercrombie in Canada was opening up in the same mall, and I just remember as they were building out the mall, Abercrombie had these recruiters that were walking around the mall every day, and the recruiters were like basically Captain America and like Wonder Woman in terms of like looks, just like exactly what you think in the American Apparel, well, not American Apparel, but like Abercrombie and Fitch like ads, you know, like collegiate, beautiful, you know. And they're just walking around the mall and approaching like every good-looking teenager they could find, and they're like, "Hey, are you looking for a job?" And I'm like, "This is the smartest marketing." I like, because I never knew how they work, but I'm like, "This is the smartest thing in the world. Just fill the store up with good-looking people, and then everyone
dim the lights to the point where you can barely see anything.
Where it's moody and it smells like teenage
and you can smell
spirit.
it from a mile away.
Yeah, and I'm like, every teenager in like a 10-mile radius is going to be coming here and shopping, and like it was that. Like when those doors opened, Abercrombie and Hollister, the whole mall, which by the way had no like public transit access except for like a bus that would take forever, the malls were packed with kids. It was crazy, and I'm like, wow, that worked. And then they'd always have like the topless guy at the door, and I'm just like, that's it just felt like a lot of work. And yeah, girls said, "Can I take a picture with that guy?" And it was just kind of funny to see.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's there anyway.
Yeah, he's there anyways. It's just it's just weird to be paraded like that. Anyhow.
Oh, I'm sure that wasn't the point of
right, perhaps, probably, yeah. But yeah, it's like all of the some of the stuff that we see now. It's like True Religion jeans or vintage jeans. I'm like, are they?
I remember, this is my last book off story, but like I remember cleaning out my the home that I grew up in, and I brought home some of pieces that I loved as a kid, and in my maybe middle school age days, I just lived in this windbreaker from Nike. I bought it at a Nike outlet when I went to America, and a lot of my clothes back then was kind of things that I found in America, because I was just I wanted to be different, and I was able to my parents took me to America a couple times, and it was just that was just I buy everything I wear for the next couple of years at outlet malls and stuff like that. So a lot of my clothes were like that. One of my favorite was this windbreaker, and it was really oversized, and it was just very, very 90s. I think I might have been in elementary school actually, because it was big and I was smaller, and it was just but it was big enough that I could still wear it as an adult when I discovered it, and I was just, oh my god, I lived in this, I love this. And then I brought it home and I kept it for a while, and I was just I'm never gonna wear this.
Right.
But also I knew that was the time when the 90s windbreaker, pull over anorak kind of style was really popular. So I was just you know what? I'm never gonna wear it. I'm just gonna bring it to book off with, amongst other shitty clothes. I brought it, and that windbreaker got the highest price.
Yeah. It got a good amount.
And then after that, I kept going to that book off and seeing my windbreaker and just making sure it's not being sold. And then I think it was sold for maybe quadruple the price that they paid me or something like that. And I was oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. And then when finally I didn't see it anymore, I was just so sad. I was oh, I shouldn't have sold it.
It just sometimes feel that way, but I think for us, we have so many clothes. As we were thinning out the herd the other day, I was going through this crate of denim jackets, and I was pulling out. I'm I didn't even know I had this. I was pulling out jackets. I'm when did I buy this? I have no idea when I bought this. And there was this Evisu type 1 jacket that it was recessed. And it's your size, and
no, I think we bought that when I first started chain stitching, and I was just looking for clothing that I can chain stitch on.
Right.
Yeah, it was a good price.
Well, whatever it was, it was just I was finding all kinds of stuff I didn't even know I had. So if I had to get rid of it, I'm am I gonna miss this item?
Right.
So
know, yeah.
Right. So that sort of stuff happens. Okay, Rugged Satroy with a good question. Fashion fight. Who Who's got better style, millennials or Gen Z?
Gen Z's right after us.
Okay, here's the problem. Yeah,
Wait, no. Wait.
there's like Gen X, millennial, Gen Z.
Right.
But I personally find myself in the middle of like a Gen X millennial situation, because I find that the net that they cast for millennials is too wide. There's people who were born without internet, went to school without internet, and then finished school, and then internet sort of started coming.
When does millennials end?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I'm properly.
That said, it's hard to make the judgment here. I'm gonna throw this out there, because Gen Z fashion right now is very much inspired by Y2K, which is our fashion from when we were young. How can I compare the two? They're wearing the same stuff, right? And so I don't know who has better fashion. I'm not gonna let them fight. I love it when young people. I think I've said it a million times. I've said it. I even say it to Wyatt sometimes. I'm just like, you want to get far in life as a young person, just suck up to the older generation. Just suck up to us. Just tell us how great our music was. We're very like superficial in that respect. Just tell us how superficial it was. Just tell us that Jordan is better than LeBron, and we're just happy. You know what I mean? We're just gonna take credit for everything that happened in our generation, and just tell us how great it was, and we're gonna be happy. So I like the fact that this new generation, this new crop of kids, is wearing wide jeans. They're Y2K aesthetic. I walk through the mall around here. I see all the young people. I'm like, you look like me. You look like us when we were your age. This is great. I love it. I love it. And so I think that young people are. One thing I think that young people nowadays have an advantage over like maybe our time was they have an abundance of they can get stuff. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel like when we were young, we were very much limited to what was around us, mm-hmm. right? I'm to be fair, by the mid part of high school, when I was brave enough to start skipping school, I would get on a bus, get on a train, and go around and go downtown Toronto and like look around. But up until then, my options were whatever my mom could buy me and, whatever my local mall had. And so I didn't know. But now the kids, they have the ability to be inspired by everything. Instagram, social media, it pumps them full of so much knowledge and information. Whereas when we were young, you wanted knowledge and information. Well, you had to go to the newsstand. You had to go buy whatever magazine it was. Maybe you get a GQ or whatever. You open it up. And then whatever that magazine is telling you, which, in later on in life, you realize whatever they're telling you is whatever the advertisers are telling them to tell you. Mm-hmm. And so, like, everything is sort of through a very much more narrow lens back then. Whereas now, whatever it is you want to wear, however way you want to express yourself, you can do it. You can do it in a much more affordable way than it was before. And
they have access to more information and more like resources, that's for sure. But because of that, I feel like the identity of like these fashion trends are a little bit less prominent. Like back in our day, it was just like you dress who who you are.
And it was
maybe
often
not
tied to your music taste.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's just like maybe not exactly who you are like literally personally, but who you wanted to be, who you wanted to portray yourself. And it's like that was kind of like the personality thing that you're putting out. Like I feel like younger generations a little bit less like, oh, like I wear, like a preppy stuff, like more like trad style, but I listen to hip hop, like that. That's
the connection.
Kind of normal to have that.
There was a much bigger connection from like your music or your taste to your fashion sense, mm-hmm. whereas now I find that fashion sense is a lot more detached from anything. People can hop. You can be a punker one day and you can be a hip hopper the next day. And, it just doesn't matter anymore. What you dress really, maybe they feel like it expresses something, but I feel like And I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. But from my sense and the way I see the fashion trends change so quickly, I feel like being in style with the current trend is much more about signaling that I'm in style rather than this is me. You know, this. So there is a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah. I think it's just because, like, you don't need to be like really into fashion to know what's trending. It's just like they
Right.
that information gets fed to you.
Yeah, and it's also much more accessible at the lower price point
100%.
range. Like what is
100%.
trendy is in fast fashion right now, whereas when I was a kid, like there was a difference between like the stylish kid and like the rest of us because like we didn't know, and like
But also you have to commit to the style because once you buy a clothes, like that's all you're wearing for a while.
Yeah.
Like it is true that like we did get the tail, and like I think our young times when you were like kind of putting a lot of effort into like what to wear and whatnot, like kind of. And that, like, we caught the first, like, really huge wave of fast fashion within our, like, time. But people who grew up with that, like, as a teenager, like, I think that their way of thinking
I feel like
different.
the H&M, Zara, like, that sort of wave came when I was already in the working world when that came to be. Like, Gap had its own thing, or I feel like in Canada we didn't have a lot of these. We didn't have a lot of these fast fashion retailers until much later in my life. So if you shopped at a certain kind of store, that store had its own life. Like an American Eagle had its own look, right? And whereas now, to be fair, I haven't walked into an American Eagle in it's got to be at least 30 years. I'm not looking at my clock. I'm like. I'm
30 years.
It's gotta be like I must have been in like 10th or 11th grade when the last time I shopped there. I've never been in there since. But my so take that with a grain of salt, whatever the heck I'm gonna say next. It's like my opinion of these shops was that like the Gap had its own style. H&M, not H&M, but like Esprit was in Canada. They had their own style. So all these different shops had their own style rather than
Polo, Ralph Lauren,
right, rather than some overarching trend that's out there in the world. But yeah, there was a Yukon Selvage said the only place I could get stuff was either Randy River, Zellers, or the Bay. The current gen can now get their things online. So much more options, even for those in rural parts. That's right. I mean, that's where my mother would take me to the Bay a lot. Zellers, Randy River. That was like they changed. When I was shopping at Randy River, there was like a younger person store. But I remember I would buy like Raver stuff at Randy River, and
I never heard of this.
Yeah, it's a Canadian chain. I don't know if they exist anymore, but they like I used to buy really wide pants there, like the Raver pants, and I remember getting some there, and then like I remember an older friend of mine who a coworker was like, yeah, I used to work there when I was young. We used to sell shirts and ties there. So I feel like that store. I don't know. I that was just something that he mentioned to me, but. We were so much more tied to where we were geographically than anything else. Nowadays, you could look like you're an Ivy League prep student and you could be living in rural Japan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just.
But yeah, I think access for sure. But also price point.
Right.
It's just like you could have a throwaway like. Clothes that you're gonna wear for one time. Like we didn't grow up with that.
Right.
Kind of mentality.
No, that mentality did not exist. One time wear or like, whatever I had, like, we would go maybe shopping for like school for the year. And like, that was it. Like the idea of like casual, I mean, I was a kid, but like the idea of just casual shopping was not, well, at least that didn't exist in my household.
So it's like, like because of that, I feel like maybe millennials have like more commitment to like their styles. I do,
But we're also
maybe in
older
general,
now. So.
yeah, maybe perhaps Gen Z would have more refined taste by the time like they're old enough to kind of know who they are, perhaps, because it's just, they've been doing this so many cycles, whereas like we only got to do it like, less cycles.
Right. Shang Style. I'm happy with the fact that I got to experience the last moments of the world without internet. Gen Z missed out on experiencing a world that was offline. That's a fundamental social difference. I agree. When I was a kid, there was one computer maybe in the corner of the classroom that nobody used. But even by the end of high school, like we were still handing essays in on handwritten paper. Like we had to handwrite. Yeah. And so, you make your rough draft, you scratch it. Okay, my final draft, I have to write it out real nice, no spelling mistakes. You know what I mean? I get no whiteout. Like the nightmare of having to like physically write an essay like 12 times just to make sure it's perfect. And the kids, they'll never know. Which is fine. Like they don't have, why should they have to go through the trouble? It's clearly what they have now is better, but you also know that because you struggled a little bit.
Oh.
Anyhow.
Craig Cat Dad says, did you know that one of the co-founders, husband and wife combo of Esprit, also founded the North Face?
Oh, I did not know
that.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Esprit, I do not, I remember the brand. I just don't remember the style of Esprit.
I remember the logo more than anything else. I bought a couple of things there when I was young, but not too much. There was Malik says, because of the internet, I was able to find a brand like Wonder Looper. Shout out to the internet. Absolutely.
Yeah, we wouldn't have existed. Not even close to existing.
If not for the internet, if not for YouTube, social media, all this stuff that, we would not exist. And I'm going to also say that a lot of brands in our realm, the niche brands, will not exist. The internet has brought people from all over the world, everywhere, who are interested in these small details together so that, if we had to rely on the local market, we wouldn't survive. But because we have brought the world together, the people who like these kinds of things together, we can have a brand, we can have a company. And that is something that is for the first, this is like the first wave of it in the entire existence of humanity, right? The last 10 years of social media and being able to bring us, in a lot of ways it separates us, but in a lot of ways it also brings us together. And, the good comes with the bad. And no question about it, if it wasn't for the way the internet has provided us this free gateway to, interact with everybody, you wouldn't be able to have products like ours. That's for sure. Nicholas V says, one of the things I love about Japan is that my son can still be free range like I was as a kid.
Free range.
Yeah, free range. I mean,
like a chicken.
Yeah, free range kids. I mean, here in Japan, this is just a totally somewhat of a different topic, but I'm sure many of us, maybe if you were born in the 80s and 90s, you just sort of remember maybe it was a summer day and it was just be home before sunset. Just go, you know what I mean? Go to the park. And here, a lot of kids, maybe you just see them out on their own a lot. And children going to school by themselves, little kids.
I think here the norm is that kindergarten, you have an adult accompanying. The kindergarten kids don't go to kindergarten by themselves, but once you hit the first grade, elementary school, so either 7 years,
maybe 7 years old, 6 or 7, yeah.
Then you have to go to school by yourself. That's just, you don't. I guess you don't have to, but it's just that's
sort of the norm, yeah. And so you'll see these, 2.5 feet tall kids riding the train with their backpack, and you're just I don't know how tall they are. They're tiny. They're munchkins, and I'm just it's amazing. It's beautiful, and it remind like when I was a kid. I mean, I used to walk. I mean, I was my younger sister's older brother, and we'd walk to school together. But I just find that maybe these days that's not. I haven't been around North America that much in the last little while, but I just find that that's less so these days.
I also think the lack of public transportation and like maybe the safety of public transportation is just like, like you're not gonna like, and also just how the communities are set up. Like a lot of kids can't walk to school or can't take a train or bus to school. Maybe they can, it's like if you live in like I've never lived in this neighborhood, so I don't know, but like in like picturesque like residential areas of America, like you don't have a bus stopping right there, right? Like so you just have to like have like parents or somebody drop you off at school because you cannot walk to your school because it's too far or something like that. So I think it's a different way of life also. But yeah, in general, like I think we like in Tokyo at least, or like any like city areas of Japan at least, like you either go to a school that you can walk to, or you go to a school like using public transport. There's like if you're like the closest station to you is far enough that you can't walk, then your parents might drop you off at the station, but they will never take you all the way to school.
Yeah, so a little different. Yeah. Shang Style, I wonder if Japanese children go drifting with their cool cars after school like in Fast and Furious. No, probably not. But you know what does happen? If they're a little older, they get on their motorcycles and they just rev. It's like, little dirt bike type of things. And they just rev their engines at 11 p.m. Those are
the same. Like, I think you need to be 16 to get a license to drive.
Whatever it is.
So it's not like they're kids.
16's a kid. But anyhow, they're not children. But yeah, they love revving engines. That's the thing that they do. They just go around the neighborhoods, sun's down, time to rev the engine as loud as humanly possible in residential areas. If we're not waking up children at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's not cool.
So last week was like a coming of age kind of celebration day. And every year there's just like, on the news, there's just like these kids who are turning 20 that year so technically that most of them are still 19, that would just like, have like a car that's decorated and had like big flags and like, just kind of like the Boso's kind of style, but like, they're just celebratory. So they do like the parade kind of thing. Yeah. It is almost like a parade. And I love watching that because it's just it's impressive. When you're 19, you can do something like that. It's just clearly like you're risking a lot of things, and you spend probably your entire savings on these things, and just to be like, here I am.
Look, certain times it's not a problem. Like Nicholas says, the bikes around Enoshima in the summer get loud, but I think those are mostly older men. Yes, a lot of older guys do this too. Like on a Sunday morning, you might see a lot of guys driving around and like they're not really biker gangs, but all the biker guys, they all get together and they're revving their engine. They got their decked out motorcycles, and sometimes they're like very like Japanese style gaudiness to them, which I like. I like the style. It looks cool, but like
old school.
Yeah. And so you have it, and there's certain times and places which is fine. Like Yokohama around here at nighttime, a lot of the car guys gather by the bay, and
those are more Fast and Furious kind of guys.
Yes,
so, yeah.
But there's certain places where it's like, okay, it's appropriate, but like, bro, for real, sometimes like the middle of a residential area, there's just some, I'm gonna call him jerk, who just really wants to make his engine as loud as possible and just driving around like, I'm like, it's just not appropriate.
That if those kids, if I know them to be like young kids, like under 20 or whatever, then I feel like it's not so, bad. I think the ones that are like, you know,
35.
really
Yeah.
into adulthood who are doing that are the people who are just like, you know, should be judged.
Yeah, right. Steven says, everyone with a cool car in Wisconsin revs their engine in every tunnel. Look, it's a tunnel, it's the road, fine. But like, yeah, don't go into like an apartment complex area with townhouses and whatever and just like drive around where people live. It's doesn't make any sense. You're out here, like here by the ocean. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, you know, at nighttime, there's nobody here. Like, it's perfectly fine.
To
Like,
be fair, you shoot up those like rocket like things
on the beach. On the
Yeah,
beach.
so
I
like
shoot
people
firecrackers
can
at
hear
the
you.
beach. Yeah.
Those guys are driving by the beach too.
The beach is fine. The beach is fine. If you sign up
Anyways.
for the Wonder Looper newsletter, will you receive a free Wonder Looper newsletter email?
Yes.
It's true. You do. With every sign up to the newsletter, you get a free newsletter.
Subscription
Yeah.
to the newsletter. With that said, I think we should get going to our more relevant topic of our live stream,
Which is?
which is I think a lot of people might be coming here to see what we have for
Sure. But before we do that, what should we do?
like the video.
Like and subscribe, everybody. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, by the way. Very, very close. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the button.
Yeah.
Hit the button. Do what's right. Okay, Risa, why don't you introduce some B stocks? Not
Yeah.
Bezad stocks. No, we're going to call them Bezad stocks.
Stock.
So it's Bezad stocks. We got the B stocks. And what we're going to do is, you know, last week and some previous weeks, we talked about sample sale stuff. And, you know,
Yeah.
I made a list. I put that in the email. Those sold out right away. So what we had from like our samples were like production samples. These were items that were basically as good as retail, exactly same as retail. But the only difference was that it had a sample tag on the inside. So like there was no distinguishable difference. It might have just been used for some photos. It might have been hung up on the rack, but it was some stuff that has long been sold out. So if you were looking for something, we may have had it. We sent that in the newsletter. You got it. And like every now and then when we find some stuff around the office, we're going to make those available through the newsletter because it's a lot easier for us to be like, this is retail, like this is a retail version with a sample tag because there's no difference. There's no changes. But we also have some things that where there might have been some changes. There might have been some changes from sample to production, or maybe there was a difference because we used to make it one way back in the day and we've changed that since then.
Right.
And in order to sell those, I don't want to have to write a long product description. I don't want to have to answer too many questions about it. We're just going to show them off here on the live stream. And then we'll let you know what they are price point wise. And then if you want them, you send me an email, info@wonderlooper.com. First come, first serve. And then I'll send you an invoice and we'll sell it that way. That way we can describe what the differences are. And if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So we're doing like a little by little each week. So
Yeah.
we'll make this is a new segment of the live stream.
Yeah. So we've got two things this week.
All right. So first thing is a pullover crew neck in fleeced Foxfibre fabric. I think we showed this off on the video.
Yes.
So a lot of people might be expecting this, but it is a pullover crew neck, size medium, fleece Foxfibre, heather gray color. The same fabric as what we use in our current production. The only difference is that this one has old neckline.
Yeah.
So the opening is a little bit wider
Yeah.
than our current one, and it has a thinner rib.
Yeah. So it's not a binder collar.
Yeah.
And then the V construction is a little bit shorter. The newer ones have a little bit of a bigger construction.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
The fabric is the same.
Yeah.
Fit is the same.
So this is the current construction. It is a it has a binder collar, and then also this was a sample. Anyway, the taping wasn't quite right, but there's a little fabric tape there. And then the V is a little bit bigger on the newer productions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bought from the first season, this is how they came.
Yeah. Okay. So this one, the current production, like full price is 30,000 yen. We're doing a 20% off on that. It is a one-off. And it is, so that is 24,000 yen, which equals about to 155 US dollars ish right now. I mean, obviously the pricing is going to be dynamic pricing based off of the
Currency conversion.
I just did a rough conversion this morning, so it's about $155.
So there you go. And then you get a sample tag. So if you want some rare Wonder Loop or something, you got a sample tag on there. So exactly the same fleece Foxfibre fabric. This is probably one of the first samples that we ever produced. So that is it. That's it. The Heather Gray fleeced Foxfibre, and you said it's going for about 155 US.
Yes, 24,000 Japanese yen.
Yeah. So send me an email, bayzad@wonderlooper.com, and then it's gonna be first come first serve. This is a size medium.
Or info@wonderlooper.com.
What did I say?
Bayzad@wonderlooper.
Yeah. Info
I think it's
don't send it to Bayzad. Send it to info. Okay, so that's the first sample this week, and so we have another one for this week as well. Also a size medium. I assure you there will be more than size mediums coming up, because there's some things back there that are not size medium.
But there's gonna be more size medium than not.
Yeah. And then we have the Zip Hoodie in the ecru double heavyweight French terry. This is the 701 GSM version. So this is the original double heavyweight fabric. The current fabric is a little bit heavier than this one. But if you ever bought from Gen 1 or Gen 2, this is the fabric.
Yeah. But this is a Gen 2.
This is a Gen 2.
Because we didn't do the ecru color in Gen 1. Gen 2 meaning that the hoodie hood is not 2-ply.
Yeah.
Because we can't no longer show that.
Only the first season ones were a double ply hood on the double heavyweight. So 701 double heavyweight ecru size medium Zip Hoodie. The only difference between this one and production is that we used a YKK metal zipper on this one instead of the Waldas metal zipper. So essentially the same product, but the zipper is the only difference here. So if you don't mind that, then we've got you here with this one. Yeah.
So this one also we're doing 20% off on retail, which is so the regular retail is 49,000 yen. This would be a 39,200 yen at 20% off. So it's about 250 US dollars.
Okay. So there you go. If you're interested in either one or both, send us an email, info@wonderlooper.com. It's going to go first come, first serve. If you're watching this video on, how can I say it, Monday night, Eastern time, it's probably sold out by now.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's going to be sold out by now. Yeah. So you don't need to send me an email. Even like last time with the baby cashmeres, like we only had 4 available, and I must have got like 30 or 40 emails about that.
Well, maybe we'll put it up on like Instagram story or something when they're
gone.
Anyway,
they're going to be gone. They're going to in the next,
like hanging around.
By the end of the live stream, they're gone. I already know that. Probably. So
okay, so that said, this price, so 24,000 yen for the fleece Foxfibre, 39,200 yen for the Zip Hoodie. Those are the price that we have as a price, and that roughly equals 255 US dollars or 250 US dollars. But on top of that, there's going to be
shipping and
duty, and so just keep that in mind. Don't be offended when we send you an invoice and that's more than that.
Yes, that's true. So keep those again. Or if you come into the store, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Ooh.
Well, if you come to the store, so we're gonna be selling these like maybe every live stream, couple items every live stream and stuff like that. But if you have an appointment and come to the showroom, you have access to the full stock that we have. We don't have a lot, to be fair, so I don't think we can keep it going for a long time. But
yeah, you can look through our free stock
anytime
bin.
we have any like things, like you can just I mean, you have access to everything that we have here.
Yeah, I didn't sneeze. It was coming. But,
I know. Sometimes when you want to get it out, it just goes somewhere else.
Yeah. Shangstyle says there will be more Bezad sample sales in the future streams, right? That's right. Every week, so long as we got something, we'll have something available. We'll show something off. So it'll keep things exciting that way. You might find something that you never knew you wanted.
Yeah.
Sheba Speed says the Bezad special stock should be his old clothes that we get first crack at before it goes to book off. Yeah, man.
I don't know.
You know what?
I don't want this channel to be
I don't want it to be Bezad's old clothes sales channel. Yeah, I don't know. You know, anyhow, it's I don't know how to deal with that. The problem is like anyhow, I'll if the people are genuinely interested in some of my old clothes, I don't know, maybe I could figure something out, but don't worry, don't be so interested. Okay. Devin Hart says, how close to shorts can you get with the new ties on the sweats? Not close at all. Like if you're gonna like pull up the leg and tie it up as shorts, no.
How close to shorts can you get with the new ties on the sweats?
You cannot. It will not turn into shorts. If you want to turn your sweats to shorts, bring them to a tailor. They will turn your sweats into shorts. And then Cow Horse says, if I buy a hoodie from a stockist and come to Japan with it, can I still get it embroidered?
Sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Make sure that the garment is relatively clean.
That should be you know what? Like I hate the fact. Sometimes I hate the fact that I have to say things like that. I'm sure.
I'm just saying. Like I know people have common sense. I'm just putting it out there just because I don't want to be the one who's
has to send that email and be like, I don't want to touch this thing. You know why? It's because that comes from the denim. You know, like and Naked and Famous. Like sometimes people send in things for like bring in things for repair or like for hemming or whatever. And like the jeans were disgusting, like not just a little, grody, like.
With jeans, like I understand some people just wear it without washing for a long time, and that might be a common thing. And I don't think that's a common thing for like sweatshirts or t-shirts, but I'm just saying. Yeah,
we just gotta throw that out there. You know, it's like you know what? There's these in Japan, in a lot of public restrooms, they have these like diagrams of like how to use a toilet. And I'm not joking. And some of them are like, don't sit on it like this, like straddling it like front forward, like, and I'm just like,
Or squat
on top of the seat. Yeah. And it's just like, and I'm like, for sure this was a problem at some point. And I get it. Look, I get it. Not everyone, like, every different places in the world, they might not be used to these. I get it, right? But it's just like in America or anything else where, like, you get the warning signs for, like, things that you're like, why do I have a warning on this? You would be shocked with how many people just get things wrong. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, how did it happen? Like, how did it happen that you somehow have enough money to buy these sort of premium priced items, yet your sense, the way we're handling, I don't want to put any shade on anybody. So this is as generic a way of telling the story as possible because this has happened many times. But like the sense that you have in this situation, if it was 100 years ago, I feel like you would have been eaten by feral dogs by now. Like, I don't know how the connection between the earning potential that it takes to buy some of these items not just us, but even back in the day, Naked and Famous, and your logic in terms of like how we're handling this situation that we're in. I don't know how you even like brush your teeth. Like it is bizarre what is going on here. And thank God that we live in a world where even you with your limited intellectual awareness can also enjoy some of the best things in life. That's the bright way to look at it. And then the other way is like, I don't like where did we fail? Like what happened? Yeah, you would be shocked. Some people would send in jeans. I'm sure these are none of you here. I'm sure. But they're like literally like piss soaked, smelling, disgusting. And they're like, yeah, I need the crotches like repaired. And you're like, yeah, I know why you do, because you've never washed your jeans ever, and they're disgusting, and you want me to fix the crotch, and it's like
the bacteria have eaten through your like fibers,
right?
And it's like
even the bacteria want to escape, and then they're like,
us to touch that and like deal with that,
and then you're like, okay, well, we do repairs, but not on this because these are a biohazard. These are disgusting. And they're like, well, you guys say that you should never wash jeans, and we're like, no, we actually never say that. Like wherever you picked that up from, it wasn't us. And like, just imagine somebody put you in that situation. Can you not empathize with this situation right now? And you're demanding of us that we fix these jeans. And then you're upset that we're like, well, we got to ship them back to you, right? Because I'm not going to wash them for you. I'm not your laundry service, right? And then we're like, well, it's going to cost you $40 to ship them back or whatever it is. And they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe it, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, just incredible. And you're just shaking your head. We're all looking at each other like, what did we do? What happened?
It reminds me of the Office episode of Pam and Jim's wedding where Kevin puts like his shoes up to be clean at the hotel, and then they had to they're like, it was just a biohazard. We have to throw them away. And to be fair, Kevin didn't get mad at them.
Right.
He was
understanding.
Like...
But it's like, yeah, that's exactly the situation we've been in, like, I would say countless times. And, it's, you'd be just shocked with, like, how, like, people getting angry in that situation. I'm like, yeah, if they only took it like Kevin Malone at the wedding. Those shoes were disgusting, sir. We had to throw them away. It was not appropriate for these to exist on land.
But like in relation to that, I don't think we have the similar level of problems. No. But we do like sometimes receive returns, and sometimes returns are not cannot go back to stock because there's just a little too much Axe body spray and pet hair on them. Right. And pet hair, to be fair, pet hair is you can't. Yeah. You can't bring send pet hair covered t-shirts and bag. But it's removable. But odor is not. It's some of them, but it's just like I feel like they're not like gross odors. Like they didn't go running in this t-shirt and trying to return it, but like I think some people just live with like this, like maybe it's a cologne, maybe it's a Axe body spray, who knows, but they live in it so much that they don't even like notice the smell. I don't think it's intentional, but it's very, very strong for people who don't have that smell all the time. And maybe you just literally put it on for a minute, but because like maybe that smells so strong from your body that it's just like it's kind of like sometimes I'll get like a whatever, like people like their fragrances, but you have to be careful when you're trying on stuff, like I would not say that you need to take a shower before you try on the clothes,
but like don't wear it for an hour and like decide it's not the right fit, because it also puts me in an awkward situation because I get that item back and I'm
we
like,
can't sell it.
right.
Like,
And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm not giving you your money back. Now you got to pay for shipping to send it back to you and yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I give most people the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know, this machine over here, you can't see it. Maybe in a video we should show it off. But this is like an LG styler. And like, we use this a lot. Like, if we get a return, and even if it's like, it's the ideal return where it's like, it's literally perfect. People, you know, they literally just tried it on. Like, you know, like people try stuff on here. They put it back, whatever. Everything we get goes through that machine. It goes through sanitized mode. And like we make sure that like what you get as a person is as factory as it could possibly be. And like, you know, you have to understand that like you're going to, somebody might have tried it on, but we literally, it's for a 2.5 hour sanitized mode every single time something comes back. And like, there are some things where it's like, some things are not like, I can't resell them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you know, so be careful and be aware of that. Like, you know, just be considerate of that when you're sending items back to us, that like, if you know, this isn't like new, like don't put me in that situation, you know, just, you know what it is. So yeah. And I would also say, don't crumple it. Again, sometimes, look, you send it back the way you would like to receive it, right? If you just shove it back into the bag, like, come on, man. Like, you know, it might be fine. I have to iron, I have to steam it out, whatever. But like, come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. To be fair, it's not very often that happens, but I'm just throwing it out there, letting people know that, like, not, again, out of everything, 99.9% of things are perfectly fine and good, and then, you know, the small amount of things that are bad. Hey, if I have to eat, you know, I have to eat it. At least I could turn it into a little learnable story for folks. So, you know, I'm going to use it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got here?
I saw a question earlier about samples, and somebody was asking like, why would we make samples if it's the same fabric, same fit, and all that stuff? I think in general, like, in order to see, like, so say for instance with like new color of double heavyweight, for instance, like, yes, we've used this fabric so many times, it's just a new color, and the color can be shown as like a color swatch or whatever, or, you know, like a lot of the times I actually do, like, because sometimes when we're booking the items, like, we didn't get like the sample in time, and I have to like Photoshop the color of the existing styles and just like put it on the line sheet so the customers can't, like, our retail partners can see it and order it. We do that kind of stuff, but we do need to make the sample of the new colors. Even if it's just a new color, it's because, you know, we need to like test the thread colors, like, we need to make sure that it matches, it doesn't go, you know, weirdly with it, or we have like zippers with like tapes that are, you know, like a new color that we're using to match the fabric and stuff like that. So we do need to see it before we actually like move forward with production. And not only that, the like sample, and you like, you make a necessary change from the point that it's sampled to yeah, like, if we need to, we make changes. But then on top of that, before we actually go on full-blown production, the factory makes a production sample to just you know, like, send it to us for us to approve that this is what you agreed upon, right? You know, there's no difference, right? And it doesn't necessarily come in for every single colors, but we definitely have to approve before it goes on, like, you know, making the entire amount. That's just to ensure that, you know, there's nothing that we missed.
It's a lot of safety precaution. Right? You know, you might think, okay, well, you know, we've made the super looper before, every single color going forward, like, I don't need to sample it, just go into production. No. right? We prefer to have the sample. Number one, of course, it's easier to take pictures and show the new colors, the new fabrics, and things like that. But it's just to ensure that what we get at the end of the day is what we ordered. And so what we ordered, that goes into the sample, and then production is to match that. And yes, it's a little bit more costly to do it this way, but let me tell you that making a mistake in production is way more costly. It's way more costly. And if it doesn't come out the way you want, or maybe it comes out, you know, in a way that it's like, I wouldn't say, like, at the end of the day, maybe everything is still technically sellable, but it's just like, it's not your vision. Or maybe it's not going to resonate the way, oh, they got the color on this looks really weird, so, like, you know, people aren't going to like it. That's going to cost you big. Yeah. So I'd rather get all the details right now, get it all done before, and then you don't have to worry so much on the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will end up with a bunch of samples that sometimes is exactly the same as the production, and sometimes maybe slightly different, but that's why we kind of have this, like, you know, not giveaway, but, like, you know, just we gotta lighten our load every now and then, so we don't get piled up with samples from each and every season.
Okay. Time versus Gravity says, hello. Time versus Gravity says, tell us how to use the LG styler as a routine for our collection. There's some questions about the LG styler. It's you know, it's basically like a giant refrigerator. You know, you open it up, like it, and
but it's not like it.
So maybe in one of the videos we'll go over it. Yeah. But it's really cool because it has, like, you know, refresh mode, it has sanitize mode, and basically it's shaking and steaming the garment. Sometimes you might just need it to get wrinkles out of a shirt. You put it in, it gets wrinkles out of a shirt, and it does okay. Sometimes you have to hit it a little bit more with the steamer to get a little bit more extra steam in there. But the sanitize mode, they have like 2 cycles. One is a quick cycle that's like an hour and a half, and then the other one's like 2.5 hours, and it's just hitting it with a lot of steam. And so, you know, there's buckets in the bottom there to, like, fill up the water. So it's just a big steam closet, and to make sure it's at a high enough temperature that, like, you know, anything that could be, you know, whatever is taken care of by the heat and the steam. And I think it does a pretty good job. So we like to have that around just to make sure that everything that, you know, anything that does come back as a return goes out fresh to our customers. But it's also a nice thing to have at home. If I would say that if we had a bigger home, it does take up a lot of room. So it's not for every home. But in, like, you know, in North America, I feel like a lot of people have the space. And if you do have the space, it's a very useful thing. Because sometimes, you know, like, this is a great way to kind of get rid of, like, you know, just, like, things that, like, you know, say, like, maybe you bring your winter coat to a cleaner at the end of the season, but in mid-season, you feel like, oh, it's starting to, you know, I've worn this so many times. Then you can just throw that in. It's not going to damage anything, and it kind of refreshes it a little bit, and you feel better. It's also psychological, I think. Right. But yeah, it is like, ours is like the 3 hanger version. There's a 5 hanger version, and like, that wouldn't fit in our home. Like, there's no room in our home to put that thing. In a North America, if you have a home, like a house, maybe an apartment, it's maybe depends on the size of your apartment, but, like, Japanese apartments are small. There's not a lot of room for this kind of stuff. So if in the, and I think they're a lot cheaper out in the West also. But anyways, it's a nice little thing to have, and if you have the room for it, it's kind of nice to just refresh garments. You know, if you go to, like, Korean barbecue, sometimes your clothes smell like Korean barbecue, and you want it to not like, the garment might be clean. You know, it's a blazer or jacket, you know, you don't want to always send that to dry cleaning. You throw that in there, and it refreshes it. And they also have, like, these scent pads. We don't use the scent pads, but they do, so that you can add scent to your clothes. Like, maybe it covers it up a little bit more, but yeah. Okay, Shani Haney says, the fact that you guys sample for every garment to ensure your guys' vision really does come across in your products. Hope you never stop doing so. Yeah, well, we won't. We'll keep sampling, because we want to make sure everything comes out right for everyone who wants to get them.
Yeah, sampling is a very expensive process, because in order to sample, like, you know, a new color, just for example, like you need to order like a lot more fabrics than you would need.
Yeah.
And obviously that can go into production if there's no like, difference. But it is like, they're showing one of one basically. Sometimes 2, 3 we ordered for t-shirts, but like it is a very expensive process. But it's just it's the one thing we like apparel industry. Most of apparel industry does, and that's kind of comes with the territory, I guess.
Rugged Citroen says, can you use the LG styler with wool or denim? I believe with both. There is, I forget what the, with denim, no problem. I put jean jackets and stuff in there before. Wool, have I ever put anything wool? I put my Indigo blanket line sweatshirt. There's wool in there. I put it in there.
Wool coat in
there. So I think it's fine. There are some things that they recommend you don't, but I don't remember all that offhand.
There's also like leather mode and
leather is the thing that I think there is a leather mode, but I think leather is the thing, and suede are the things that are a little bit more maybe you wouldn't want to put it in there, because those tend to have a little bit more of a problem with moisture and heat. Yeah. Anyhow, the website's got more information on that one. Okay. Mr. BD says, do you ever get or consider making swatch books to save space for reference?
Oh yeah, we don't have every single item of clothing in as physical garments. Like a lot of it is gotta sit there in swatch books. Just for colors and whatnot.
Yeah, we actually just bought a bunch of cabinets here for the office, and it's basically to keep a lot of our fabric stuff organized, because before it was in a bunch of random boxes.
It is
piles.
A little scary that how fast we're filling this up. Like it's not filling up like to the full obviously yet, but it's just like, okay, we have 3 years of on the books, and and in 3 more years, this cabinets are going to be full. Right.
We'll see. We'll have to buy more cabinets. Jasper says, do you ever stop a production after a not matching vision of the sample? So there's a couple of sample rounds. There's the first sample, right? So we get a first sample, and that's like, okay, here's our idea. Here's what we want to make. The fabrics, here's the zip, here's the trim. Like we tell them everything what to do. They do it, they make it. And if there's any problem with that, we address it when we do the next round, right? So there's sometimes multiple rounds of samples.
If it's a new fabric or new fit, that's the one. It's a new color, then we'll just do one round.
Right. And so and it hasn't happened yet where the production sample, so there's a sample that's often made right before they go into production. It hasn't been the case where that sample has been off in any way to stop the production, or that we had to adjust the production. But if, say, for example, we got the production sample in and there was a major problem, we would say, hey, this is an issue. We need to address that. And then they would probably make another sample and then go into production.
Often what it is that like it would be like, the shrinkage on, because from fabric batch to fabric batch, the shrinkage on the fabric kind of varies, and it's kind of normal to like, that's a kind of a main reason why they do it. Also, if like if it's a washed garment, they'll like calculate the shrinkage based off of the sample roll, and sample fabric had a certain shrinkage, and they'll adjust the pattern because of that. But then like you go into a production, and production fabric has maybe slightly different shrinkage, and that's when they catch that, and then they're like, okay, we will adjust it, we'll adjust the pattern, and then we'll move forward with production. So it is actually kind of common to have small adjustments like that, but it's an important adjustment. And but at that point, like nothing design or anything like that has already been approved from like the actual sample rounds.
Okay, I don't know how to say this exactly, but I'm gonna say Vi, Mr. Vi. Hey Risa and Bezad, I got the double heavyweight zip hoodie a couple of weeks ago. The thing is a beast. it feels like doing. It feels like donning a suit of armor every time I wear it. Now I need more, and that you'll be in Japan in a couple of months to see us in Yokohama, and then you're gonna book a visit. Well, we hope you make it here, and we look forward to meeting you. A couple of months, it's gonna be a good time here in Japan. Best weather. The best weather is a couple of months away. Nicholas says, any plans to re-release the black fleeced Foxfibre? Yes.
Yeah.
Coming
next year.
Coming next year.
Oh, this year, I guess.
Oh yeah, coming this year, right? It is now this year, so that'll be back in the fall. Okay, and then Stephen Kopelkamp says, my wife would like a smoky lilac colorway in the future. Yeah, I want. This is one thing that we're trying to sort out, is sort of like a faded version of some of our colors. You know, I'm with you. So the smoky sort of a washed out sort of with a little bit of a gray overtone color. So that is something that we do and want to do, just to sort of give some of the super loopers, maybe not next year, we'll see, more of a vintage look, like when you get them right off the bat.
Yeah.
So we are looking into that already. Yeah. And then we've got a question. The Road Less Travel says, apologies if I missed this, or if it was covered earlier. Are the indigo dyed tees coming back?
So the Tokushima natural indigo hand dyed tees will come back. We kind of set that in the motion. We decided to do it again in the double heavyweight t-shirt fabric. So we're going to make the dye-based tees in spring.
Yeah.
No, in summer. So the after the spring restock and everything, like we put in like another batch of orders there, so that's included in there. So probably by early summer we would have the t-shirts, and once we have the t-shirts, that's when we do the pre-orders. And that means that you can choose the size and you can choose the shade of indigo, and then that's going to be, I don't know the lead time. It just depends on how busy the dye house is at that time, but that way, like, you know, we can tell you, you know, however long, and it's not going to be too long because the t-shirts are already made.
Yeah. Kelvin says, will the brand, I guess our brand, Wonder Looper, do an archive sale of samples? We technically have already, this is what we're doing. So, like, you know, when we put some of these samples up for sale through, and we announce it through our newsletters and through these live streams, and some of the B stock, the Bayzad stock that we offer, that's basically it. So it's not like one giant sale. It's like stuff sort of will trickle out here and there. Time versus Gravity asks, will the softness of a hoodie be affected by certain colors? Heather gray tends to be a little bit more softer just in general across the board.
It's just the way that the yarns are made. So it's technically different yarns. So that's kind of why it's usually softer. Some of it you can feel it more. Some others maybe a little bit less, but yeah. Yeah,
but like if you get like a super looper in different colors, the colors ones they're not going to really feel any different. No. Like in that respect, the colors aren't going to affect anything. Yeah. Okay. Crown says, are you planning to offer any new shades with this round with the indigo dyed tees? That's not a bad idea. I mean, we can see. But I don't know what, like, I feel like we have a pretty good cover of the range of color. Let me go get the tees just so people can see.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I have a hard time distinguishing level 2 and 3. So I don't think it's going to be difficult to control once we get like, do you mean like, because I think lighter than this will be kind of impossible. And then lighter than level 1 might be very difficult to pull off, and then
Like, how much darker do you... I know
Yeah.
it's plastic on top of
I mean,
these,
I guess
but...
lighter than one, seeing that now, maybe it's possible.
And then so dark that it's almost black.
Yeah, but darker ones, obviously it's more depth. So like for us, like we do a 2-tier pricing, like level 1 and 2, and it's the same. 3 and 4 is the same, just to kind of, keep it a little bit more organized. But a darker one will be way more expensive, and I don't know how much. I think we'll go with what we have.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll keep you posted on that. And for people who don't know, this is a program that we do. So we make sort of these dye, suitable for dye double heavyweight t-shirts. And what that means basically is that we use cotton threads for the stitching. So usually we use like a polycore thread, but for the dyed t-shirts, we use a cotton thread. That way that also takes up the dye and you don't have like that contrasting stitching. So that usually, because the polycore threads, they don't take up the dye. So oftentimes you might see a dyed t-shirt or a garment dyed t-shirt and they have like that white thread running through, and that's because they're using a polycore or a poly or polycore thread. Here we have to use 100% cotton so that it picks up the dye, and so we make these dye-based versions of our double heavyweight t-shirts so that we can dye them in this case in indigo. So we work with an indigo dyer in Tokushima, Japan, who grows Japanese. He's a farmer. Also, he grows all the indigo and then also creates and ferments all the dyes and then does all the hand dyeing themselves.
So very traditional style. Their business is relatively, young, and they're young people, but they do everything in like old school traditional Tokushima dyeing method. So yeah, they're very good partners of ours.
Yeah. So, and like basically anytime you see like really, really expensive, like Japanese natural indigo dyed denim, there's a few like dye houses that do it. And, these are the guys who are like in those videos where you see like they're hand dyeing the yarns.
So they do the yarns, they do the garments. They also even like sell like home dyeing kits.
Yeah.
But it's more like it's an involved process. But it might be fun, like, say, like, it might be fun to do it with your kids or something, like, just like, kind of science experiment kind of things. But it is going to smell. It is.
Yeah, indigo is a smelly process.
It's fermented dye, so it does smell like something fermented.
Yeah. But hey, it is fun. It is fun to indigo dye things. So that said, these somebody's asking if these are garment dyed, so they'll evenly fade. Yes, these are garment dyed. So like, it's not gonna fade like a yarn dyed item.
Right, but it's not going to evenly fade all throughout the t-shirts. It's like the seams and creases get more dye out. It's like, anywhere that gets like friction gets the dye, the fade.
But unlike denim, because you're putting friction on the same spot like a lot, and so like the contrast is a lot higher because between washing. Here, I find that because you wear it, maybe you wear it once or twice and you wash it, like it tends to fade more evenly because you're not putting the same kind
you're not
of
wear. You're not going to have the, honeycomb level things, obviously not, but it will not be completely evenly fade. Also, somebody asked, like, does the color bleed when you wash it? Is the machine safe? It is indigo, so it will bleed a little bit. It's machine safe in a way that you shouldn't wash it with your white t-shirt, or like any light colored things that you don't want get anything on. But it's machine washable, like jeans. You wash your jeans in your machines. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. There's a question. Monroy says, What would you say is the most difficult part of making garments? Would it be sourcing the materials, spinning the yarn, weaving the fabric, or cutting and sewing the garments? Maybe something else. What's the most difficult part of making garments? The most difficult part of making garments isn't... that's actually a tough question. Like, the most difficult part is trying to make something that's compelling for an audience. That's the most difficult part. And, the... cutting and sewing and all these things, spinning, sourcing, those are all different parts of the puzzle.
But at different times,
yeah,
it's more difficult, or for different products, it's more difficult. So you can't generalize it. And, depending on what you're trying to do, maybe sewing it could be the hardest thing if you're trying to make like a very complicated piece of clothing. Or, maybe
sourcing
raw materials is the hardest part if you're just trying to like get, certain materials that are limited in supply. So it's even with our brand, like in general, there are certain things that are like more difficult with certain items and others a little bit easier. So it's hard to kind of say that any part is particularly like the most difficult.
Yeah, that's it's a good question, but yeah, it's hard to pinpoint it down to like just one thing. Okay, I'm trying to sneeze and then it's not coming out. I don't know, something's happened in my this area. Okay. Yukon Savage, a ready-to-dye hoodie would be nice for those wanting to send to Wild Frontier. So, that said, like the ecru double heavyweights, like I know we've had a handful of people who've sent things out to Wild Frontier, Mike Wild Frontier Goods over there, who wanted to have him do some dyes. But we're also going to make some dye-based super loopers because the plan is... Anyway, the plan is that we're gonna make some dye-based super loopers so that we can send to Amami Island to do some of those natural dyes that we're doing down there that you're gonna see in the sharim dye, the tree bark dye, and the mud dye stuff that we're doing with the t-shirts coming out this season. So I want to build more around that as well, and I think the super looper is gonna look really, really nice with some natural dyes. Yeah. Stephen Kopelkamp says, I can't wait for the eventual green fox. It's coming. This week we might have an update.
Who knows?
Who knows? Risa says, who knows?
Who knows? I'm happy to wait till it comes.
Yeah.
I'm just in this position where it's just like, it comes when it comes. And when it comes, we'll be very excited.
There you go. So we'll anyhow, as we get news, we'll certainly keep you posted. Okay, guys, we're getting to that point in the show, and I think it's about snack time.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab something from the pantry.
All right. Do you have anything in mind?
I do.
Oh, okay. I don't know what it is, so it's a mystery. Let's see. Rugged Sartorial says, what is your favorite item of clothing to pair with Wonderlooper knitwear? Jeans, fatigue, jackets. I don't know. I usually wear jeans or fatigue pants with Wonderlooper top. And then I would wear a jacket over it. So I don't know, but it's so one thing I acquired in this like recent thrift
adventure
trip was one thing I really wanted for a long time. I contemplated buying a brand new one, but then I found a good one in relatively good condition at a thrift store for not too much money. So I bought another barber jacket, and I have an orange barber jacket that I love.
It's a crop one.
It's a crop one, and it's also it's like a high vis orange. So sometimes I can't wear that. So I bought like a little bit longer one with the classic green. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna be wearing that paired with Wonderlooper hoodie a lot when the weather gets a little bit nicer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Shaney Haney says vintage Levi's for sure are the best for pairing. Jean jackets are great for pairing with hoodies. I wear a lot of different jackets, a lot of like military style jackets. I also, when we were in this thrifting adventure, like I tend to buy like green jackets, military style, and this was some sort of like, I don't know what it was from, but it was a
basket lining.
a lining for some jacket, but it
little
was
padded.
real, padded thick, and it was really great. And I thought it paired really well. It didn't have a zip, it didn't have like closure buttons or anything, so it kind of felt like a kimono jacket. So I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe in the next weekly video, I'll wear it and I'll show it off. But what was the brand of chore coat that Bezat had in the update video? The brand, I don't know. It was just a random like French style workwear jacket. But yeah, it was a vintage one. I don't think there was a tag in it, but I'll check and if there is, I'll let you guys know. But that was just a real old jacket we found we found over at the vintage market.
Yeah.
How about when you wear your Wonder Looper pants? Like what to pair with the pants, like sweatpants?
When I'm wearing Wonder Looper sweatpants, it's usually when I'm at home. So depending on the season, I would wear a t-shirt or I would wear like a sweatshirt. Usually Wonder Looper.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Michael says, how's your oldest shirt compared to when it was the new, and what has changed? Like my oldest one is like the first sample of double heavyweight t-shirt, and I still wear it, and I think it has aged quite well. Maybe we should show that in a video sometime.
Yeah, it probably has like a little yellowed over.
Maybe perhaps, a little bit, but yeah.
I don't usually compare it, but
right. Okay.
Okay, let's do the.
I want to do one thing. Okay. Times vs Gravity says, are you going to show any more B stock tonight? Any more? No, just the two that we showed off today. So the fleece Foxfibre and the old fleece Foxfibre with the old collar and V construction, and the double heavyweight 701 GSM double heavyweight ecru French Terry with the YKK zipper instead of the Waldes zipper. So those were anyhow. Those were all that we showed off today.
Like, each week until the supply dries up, each week we'll show maybe two garments and live streams. So.
Yeah, hold on. I think one of my fly buttons is on the whole show.
Oh.
Yeah, just gonna fix that.
All right. Okay, let's see what the thing is today.
There we go. Some Cheetos from our friends in Mexico. So these were brought to us as a gift. They've actually been in our pantry for a while, and I've always wanted to try them. So Comillos.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's shaped like a claw.
Okay.
Or a paw.
A paw. So it's Chester Cheetah. I think it's Chester Cheetah. His paws, and they're chili, pepper, and cheese artificially flavored corn snack. This product is not a product authorized by the United States trademark owner for importation and is physically and materially different from the authorized product. So, an unofficial Cheetos, not approved by America, from Mexico. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So, banned Cheetos. That doesn't matter. We're gonna enjoy them.
It's not America either, so
that's true. It's definitely not approved by the Japanese trademark owner. Well, why wouldn't it be? Anyway, I don't know. But they look good. They look fun. And you know what? You want to eat on a Monday morning before work? Cheetos. You definitely want to have Cheetos. So let's give these a shot. So these were definitely transported in the airplane because when you do, it tends to suck that extra air out of the bag.
It will first expand and then suck it up.
But you can see the top of the amount of Cheetos is right here. So that is all air. That's just false. You need some amount of air.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. They're like vampire fangs. All right, got to get back to the beers, to the Bears game. Peace, Bezat, and Risa. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Now, they smell spicy. There's I don't know. Hold on, I gotta get up.
They're a lot darker.
They're a lot darker than, like, they're not so brightly they are bright in their own way.
It has past the expiration. It has been a while.
No, these don't expire. They're like Twinkies. They're good forever. I don't know what to expect here.
It looks spicy.
Yeah. It smells like...
But it doesn't, like, this packaging doesn't really warn you of the spice.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's... Although it's Mexican, so who knows.
Let's go for it.
All right.
Let's do it. know.
I don't feel that much cheese in this.
No, there's a lot of lemon taste or lime
Lemony,
taste.
like it's kind of like that like Mexican chili
Yeah.
salt.
Right.
Like they put it.
I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's not bad. It has a bit of spice to it. It's more sour than spicy. The crunch is harder than a typical corn snack, I find, and it's more dense. So it is definitely a lot different from a typical Cheeto, I find. Like a puffed Cheeto. It doesn't taste like a regular puffed Cheeto.
It doesn't have that much of a corny flavor or the cheese flavor.
But
It's nice. I like
it's
it.
nice.
Yeah.
Wait, like with a cold, like tall glass of Sprite, this would be good. A tall glass of Sprite with a lot of ice. Anyways, that's a weird one. I don't know how to. I don't think it's weird. I think it's good.
It's gonna probably be paired well with margaritas.
Right. I've never had a margarita, but I will.
I'm not sure you have virgin margarita, and they taste.
And I've had margarita pizza. I think that's what that tastes like, right? Anyhow, how am I gonna rank this? How does one rank this? This is.
I feel like I rate everything this, but it's like 6-8.
Sure, I'm gonna go 7 on that. Go 7 on that. They're good. I would munch these down, and I would enjoy them. I think that they're nice.
7 is a good one because it is nice. Like I would eat it.
When this would be better is on a hot day, a hot day with a nice cold drink. I want to eat this when we're by the beach or something like that.
Yeah.
So
the
that
citrusiness kind of
I would say that you probably get 0.5 more points if you're in the right environment and you're eating this.
Perhaps, yeah.
Just munching these on the couch, I think it's not as this needs an exciting place to eat it.
I do like the level of spice. It has a little kick, but not enough that it would kind of make you make your mouth sore or anything.
So there you go. If you find these in your local, I would imagine, South American Mexican grocery store. I don't know if these came from Cheetos.mx, Mexico. Check them out. Get them. Give them a try. I would recommend them. They're fun. They're fun to enjoy.
It's fun shape. So
yeah. And thanks for everybody who comes in and brings us some snacks for snacks time, so that we can make snack time that much more international.
And the snacks that we don't do a snacks time on, we'll still enjoy it too. We actually have had some very good snacks.
Yeah. Sometimes they have more of an expiry date on them.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, everybody. That's it for this week's live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us for another edition. We'll be back again, same time, same place next week. That's Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday morning for us. And watch out for our little weekly update videos. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you haven't done so already. And most importantly, do something nice for yourself.
And somebody else.
We'll see you guys next time. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.